From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
I've been known 1,000 ways, choked 100 hearts in.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? We're here. We're both here. And actually, I'm accurate when I say that we're both here. We're in the present right now. Are you present? Corey, are you living in the present? Are you presently minded?
No, not really. Kind of thinking about that 93 season.
Oh, yeah? They played
fun season. Even after I lost to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
BC. See, Florida State fans should always have a soft spot in their heart for Boston College, no matter how ugly it might be this Saturday, how ugly it was last year. Boston College, I don't want to say gave Florida State a championship because Florida State still had to go win some games, but Florida State Charlie Ward wouldn't have gotten a national championship if it wasn't for Boston College. So they should always have a soft spot. Florida State fans, I think, 1993, because the week after Notre Dame won the game of the century,
Glenn Foley
had a little bit of a letdown against Glenn Foley and the boys, and that kid kicked the craziest knuckleball field goal in history. And Notre Dame lost, and Florida State beat the tar out of NC State. Remember those days back when Florida State would beat ACC teams by 60 points?
Those days were supposed to be back here,
well,
right?
Hey, they're coming.
They were
going to
start rolling,
2021. And Blackman's redshirt senior year. That's when they're going to start rolling teams again. And then Florida State went on to beat Florida, who was top 5 in the country at that time, and then beat number 1 Nebraska in the Orange Bowl for that. So I'm not saying Florida State didn't earn it. They beat a lot of good teams that year, but it wouldn't happen. But Notre Dame would have been playing Nebraska.
And rightfully so. Rightfully so. If Notre Dame would have had won, I mean, they beat Florida State head-to-head. They deserved to have been there at the time. But didn't happen. That's the way it worked.
Ooh. So good job, BC.
Yeah, thanks. Shout out Golden Eagles. Not the Screaming Eagles.
I believe that was Tom Coughlin, too.
Correct.
Yeah, man.
Correct. Which is crazy. I don't know the field goal kicker's name, though. We should probably.
I believe it was Gordon.
Okay.
David Gordon, I'm going to say. I don't know if the David part's true, but
Final answer.
Pretty sure Gordon is right.
All right, we're here in the Midtown Studios. By the way, a belated shout-out to the veterans. We didn't even get to mention on the Monday program because I was too absent-minded, but that's what Willie Taggart started his press conference on Monday with, thanking the veterans. We got folks from Japan to listen to the show station out there, so shout-out. Hope it was a good one for y'all.
We really do appreciate it.
Yep.
We really do.
Also, shout-out to some of the finest in Jacksonville, Florida, some of the men in blue, the men in uniform out there, too. Ran into them in Chicago. Didn't give them a shout-out on the show on Monday. They were big fans, Corey. I think I even texted you. I'm like, dude, these guys love some Corey Clark. And then you're not there. And there was, where's Corey?
What a disappointment.
Where's Corey? I'm like,
I'm sorry. That must have been a big burden for you every time somebody saw you. Like, oh, where's Corey? Is Corey around? Is Corey around? Oh, well, it's just you. Oh,
and I'd be like, hey, wake up. And they're like,
okay. Where's Corey?
All right, enough. You're like a yappy
dog. Sorry, guys. Next Notre Dame trip, I'll be there.
When are we going to be going back up there?
2031. Who knows? I love that Georgia and Texas announced that they're going to be playing home and home against each other in 2028 and 2029. Wonderful. Will we still be a republic by then? I mean, who knows if college football will still even be a thing, but cool.
Yeah, right on. All right, so Willie's Monday press conference, sparsely attended, but those brave souls that did attend.
There were good questions.
I did too as well. I think it was a good one. What was anything? What caught your ear? Several things caught my ear. Let's start with you, Corey.
Well, the first thing that people care about more than anything, I'm sure, is the quarterback. And he said, I think so, just to get it out of the way. But he said that, yes, unless something dramatic, I guess, happened in practice or an injury or something, that Francois will be the quarterback the rest of the way, which now I guess lends itself okay, they're gonna try to redshirt Blackman. What if DeAndre twists his ankle in the first quarter on Saturday? You're telling me they're going to roll out Norm Macdonald? God, I keep calling him Norm Macdonald.
I heard that on headlines, by the way. Good show. I listened to it on the way up to Chicago on the plane.
Nolan Macdonald against Florida and for the last 3 quarters against Boston College, or is Blackman available to play if Francois gets hurt? So anyway, so Francois will be the quarterback moving forward. Taggart said he thought he played pretty well for the most part. I would politely disagree with that, but also it was a real defense. That wasn't NC State secondary. Well, I get it. So it's not apples to apples. But anyway, so
the guys were open. He was missing them.
He missed some of them, sure. Made some throws that weren't caught, including the one down the sideline to 80 that might have been a touchdown if it just doesn't go right through his arms. I mean, that was placed perfectly. I bet 15 would have caught it, but hey, I'm not even going there, guys. Not even going there.
Taking a break for one
15
show.
had to take a break because he had just caught another 5-yard in route. So anyway, but so Francois will be the quarterback for the next 2 games of the season, and that's that. It is what it is.
It doesn't bother me. I wanted to ask him this, but Gene went ahead and, Gene set him up with, how did DeAndre do? And he said he thought he did pretty well. Obviously, the drops hurt him. He thought that there was a lot of rhythm that they're based and predicated on, that they weren't able to get into rhythm because of the drops. What I wanted to kind of start off.
Are we still calling the McKitty play a drop? I mean, that's a deflection on a 100-mile-an-hour throw.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a drop personally.
It's a deflection off his shoulder pad on a 70-mile-an-hour throw when the kid's 6 yards away from you. Anyway, I would hesitate in calling that a drop. That was a deflection on a really hard pass.
Yeah. I mean, what my question was going to be to Willie, I wanted to ask him about quarterbacks, but then, he obviously showed his hand in terms of, backing and endorsing Francois for the remainder of the season, and who knows how much moving forward. Again, too, though, the whole redshirt thing, and then so what happens to Francois next year then? So, I mean, he's gone then, for sure.
What do you mean?
I mean, if you're going to redshirt Blackman, isn't part of it, too, then that you're expecting that Francois is not going to be here next year? So what, he's going to redshirt this year and sit, and then he's going to sit behind Francois again next year, too?
I think your thinking is they'll battle it out again along with the new guy. And then whoever finishes third, I assume, will transfer. Like, that's how college football is now. But, no, I don't think it's a guarantee that Francois is leaving or that Blackman's the starter. I just think their thought process must be once they saw him against NC State, they're like, oh, well, maybe he can play for us in the future. Let's not waste a whole year for him when this season's a loss anyway. Now, people might quibble with that and say, you still got things to play for. You've got a rivalry game. You've got a bowl streak. You got a winning season streak. But, again, I think it goes back to Willie's probably in the same boat most of us are in that it really doesn't matter. They're kind of even. And if they're even, why not save the kid's scholarship? If Blackman doesn't give you an appreciably better chance to win, and he doesn't, then why burn his scholarship? My counter to that would be because of what it says to the guys in the locker room.
Exactly. And that's talk about, okay, there's a lot of folks out there that are fans of Francois, or they're just, whatever Willie says they kind of are in agreement with, and there's nothing wrong with either of those. If you want to support a guy because you have some sort of affinity for him, go for it. I supported Chris Ricks when I was in school for whatever reason. So he had really good hair, and I just figured, if I could be anybody at that time in my life, I'd want to be Chris Ricks, man. Just good hair, starting quarterback at Florida State in my early 20s.
I mean, that I don't think anybody listening to this show
cares about those things?
No, I was going to say I don't think that surprises them in the least that you would want to be Chris Ricks.
Yeah, okay. My business cards, I don't know if I had business cards, though.
I feel like you would have carried yourself a lot like Chris Ricks if you were the starting quarterback at Florida State.
I'd just be an absolute intolerable person to be around.
You would park on the sidewalk in front of your college class and say, hey, Chris Ricks, here's go park it, please.
Would double park in the handicap spots.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, what up?
Yeah, what's up, ladies?
I'm here.
Is there a test today? Who's got notes? Who's got notes they can give me? Did you see I threw for 320 yards? Yeah, but Chris, you threw for 500. Hey, I threw for 320 yards. We almost won. Yeah, I feel like that would have been you in a nutshell if you would have been impossible.
You see those
as
passes,
a starting quarterback.
You see those passes in stride to hit Sean Taylor with?
Yeah, man, I made that guy a lot of money.
Boom. But to the point that we sit here and say, it doesn't really matter. James Blackman, DeAndre Francois, the record is still the record. Probably if Blackman had started the entire season, which I really don't know. But what does it say that Cam Akers, you fumble the ball, we're going to pull you out the game? Keith Gavin, we think maybe you didn't work hard enough against Clemson, so we're going to sit you for the first half against NC State. What does it say to those guys when they can lose their job because of inadequate play, but you're going to stick with this kid through thick and thin and no matter what?
I really do think he thinks, and I don't think it's coach speak when he says he can't block for himself, he can't catch his own passes. I think Willie thinks that DeAndre Francois is fine. He's not special. He can't run. But he did make the one point he made that I thought was a solid point about Francois is he did move better in the pocket on Saturday. They rolled him out some. Yeah. He only got sacked once. He got rid of the ball. He wasn't a sitting duck like Willie said. He just didn't stand there and take hits. So, I mean, maybe they look at this kid and see his skill set, if he's healthy and can move, that in 2019 will be a legitimate weapon, that he can move and help them win. We haven't seen it. We don't know how healthy or unhealthy he is. We don't certainly probably believe that. But I don't think he's just playing out this string. It wouldn't make sense to play out this string and then say, we'll figure it out again in the offseason. He must think, because Blackman's red shirt isn't that important, so he must think that DeAndre Francois will be the quarterback in 2019 as well. Nothing else to me makes sense. But, and again, he might be the better of the two. He probably is the better of the two. Is he better for this program? That's the debate. But anyway, nobody cares about the. I thought what was interesting, and not just because I asked the questions. To me now, I'm less worried about specifics. You know what I mean? In the micro.
Yeah.
The macro of this. What are you doing?
I'm going to get up and turn the fan on. I'm a little bit hot right now.
Oh, okay. Should I still talk, or
yeah,
should I
go
explain
ahead.
what you're doing? All right. So Aslan just took off his headset. He's now walking to the other side of the room. He's Midtown offices here. He just hit a switch, and now the ceiling fan is going.
Circulation.
Yeah, looks nice. It's really spinning. So yeah, I'm more interested in the macro stuff of what he thinks about this program, and because I brought it up in one of the questions was, man, you go to Western Kentucky and South Florida, those kids aren't Florida State kids. You know, these guys joined a program that they thought was an NFL pipeline where they'd be playing for championships, and they get blown out on the like each week they get blown out. So how are they handling it? How do you know? And how do you know when a program hits the right spot and starts to turn around again? And, I thought some of that stuff was interesting. Some of it was rambling. I mean, they're hard questions to answer.
Because it's Corey Clark asking the questions.
But he promised, again, trust me, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
I promise you we're going to get there. Now, a lot of people say that and don't. I get it. It could be false bravado. I do think this guy believes it. He believes in what he's doing, and he's got proof in his history that he can do this. He's never done it in a place like Florida State. He's never felt heat like he's going to feel next year if they start out 1-3. But, he truly believes what he's doing and that he can turn it around because he's done it before. I just think it's a little bit different at a place like Florida State because the attention is, nobody's caring in Tampa. Or where do we say Western Kentucky is?
Bowling Green.
Bowling Green. Yeah. Isn't there a Bowling Green in Bowling Green?
No, there's a Bowling Green in Ohio.
There's not a Bowling Green University in Kentucky?
I don't think so.
All right, well, anyway. So he's never kind of felt this. So it'll be interesting how much he can tune out everything else.
Well, because that's what he said. He said the important thing is for them to all tune it out. It's like, hey, man, it's 2018. I don't know if you follow your guys on social media, but they're not tuning anything out. They're involved in it. They're part of it. And I don't know how much of that, too, is almost – I feel like you were almost asking him about recruiting. Like, how are you going to bring in guys? Not so much retain or –
No, I wasn't.
These guys
I think the recruit – I do believe these coaches, not just Willie, but all of them that say that the kids want to come in where they can play and when they believe in a direction and they think in a year or two they're going to be really good. I do think there's something to that. Remember the program that LaMarcus Joyner and Telvin Smith said yes to?
Right.
So I think he'll get kids, at least initially, the year or two, because you can sell –
But Jimbo was like, listen, look at all this. I'm going to take over. This is how I'm going to fix X, Y, and Z. This is all Willie. Willie's fingerprints are over this entire 4 and 6 right now. He can't point at anybody else. I mean, he can. I don't know if he's going to say that in other people's living rooms. Like, listen, what I inherited was a mess.
You better say it. You can't say, yeah, this is all my fault. Who would say that to a dad and a mom? So he'll rightly point out that the program was in a – because people are going to ask, like, what's going on?
But
Why
so was Oregon.
bad?
How come Oregon went from 4-8 to 7-5?
I don't know.
And then he can't – I mean, golly, at this point
is it as simple as the O-line? Is it as simple as the O-line? Because his offense was good last year. And then this year it ain't. And they won some games, 51-28. Well, this team's not doing that at all. So I don't know if it's as simple as the O-line. 7-5, and if they hadn't lost their starting quarterback, you got to figure they win 8 or 9 games. So is it as simple as having a great quarterback and a good offensive line? I don't know. I don't know if that's why he was able to do that in a year. But it obviously hasn't happened here. And yeah, in my opinion, he gets one recruiting season to blame Jimbo. And this is it. So take advantage of it. Because next year, if you go 5-7 again and keep getting blown out, you can't be saying, "Oh, the guy that left here 2 years ago left a mess." Man, nobody's going to want to hear that. They're going to want to see some positive momentum.
Well, what have we seen? And I tried to ask him the question about what position group is better today than they were September 3rd or 2nd, whatever it was, against Virginia Tech. Well, he's like, I'm not, he's like, 1 week this segment's doing good, the next week this segment's doing bad, and talking about 1 week the defensive line's doing bad, next week it's the receivers. All right, but like, what tangibly looks better 12 weeks into the season? 12 weeks, like, what position group can you say, oh yeah, they've come along? I mean, maybe the offensive line, but
not real. I'm not counting that. I mean, they did look better, but that was one game. How many yards they rushed for against NC State? Like 11. So, I don't put stock in the offensive line being that much better. I think the receivers, I know they had some drops, but I think they were better. But it's just by degrees, man. Nobody's gotten appreciably better. They throw it to 15 more. That's why they look better. I do think when you look at this team next year, and you don't want to do it. You don't want to make the mistake. But you'll have Matthews back, Terry back, Cam Akers back, LeBourne back, McKitty back.
I don't really want to count LeBourne just because I know that knee injury, I just don't know.
But it was so early in the season that you'd think maybe he can come. If he's even by the middle of the season.
Okay.
You have so many. You have guys that you think you can make plays with.
Yeah.
Keith Gavin will be a senior. They really like all those freshman wide receivers. Keyshawn Helton. I mean, all those guys that you think are going to be a bigger part of the offense next year. They got some talent out wide that excites you more than in recent memory for Florida State. In my opinion,
what's better though next year? They're stronger. I mean, they know where to line up more often next year.
I think that's just part. That's not. I don't think this is anything that's just Willie Taggart specific. I just think freshmen get better as they become sophomores and sophomores become juniors. I think that's part of the deal.
I know, but like, what's holding them back right now? That there's not a whole bunch of greatness in front of them holding them back. Keith Gavin shouldn't be holding you back if you're Trayshawn Harrison and you're really good. So, I mean, I don't know what's that. That's the whole thing. We just assume that year to year everybody's going to get better, which is a natural thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens typically. I mean, that's not just a cliche. That normally happens. I think, coaches trust guys that have been out there more. I don't know if they think that those guys aren't quite ready. But next year they'll have to be. That's kind of how it works. Man, Nooney Murray didn't play at all till midway through his sophomore year only because Bobo Wilson got hurt. And then he was the best receiver on the team for the last half of the season. Yeah. Like, sometimes it's a matter of getting an opportunity. I do think he likes those guys a lot. I do. So, number one, Terry never comes off the field. I think he came off the field one play, and that was the one they threw to Ontario Wilson.
Third down.
I know, it was crazy.
He was on the field because he's obviously on the field for second down, and like somebody's running on the field.
I don't know if he took himself out because they showed him after the play.
Too many people. Yeah, they had too many people on the field. Like, somebody had to come off the field, and maybe he just like, listen, all right, fine, I'll get off the field then.
So, but he plays all the time, so that's one receiver. They don't rotate him at all, which is smart because
Correct.
He's also their best blocker, and he's a matchup problem where they always have to shade people, so that's smart to even have him out there. But there's not a lot of receiver spots to go around now. I mean, you got Nooney, you got Gavin, you got DJ. I mean, so there's not a lot of spots right now for those freshmen, but they'll play next year. I think they really like Helton. I think he's a guy they think should have 10 touches a game moving forward. Just hasn't done it this year. We'll see, buddy. But anyway, so my point was that kind of excites you that there's a spot, there's a chance there with those skill guys. But then you also come back to the reality of what is it going to be up front, and can this dude run the offense? So your excitement is always tempered with that.
When we talk about guys getting better year over year, I mean, look at Cam. I mean, Cam, freshman to sophomore year, I don't want to say he's regressed, but he hasn't gotten better.
No,
it's not better than he was.
But
as
also,
a freshman.
again, I think it is when you're in a whole new system, and he's a power running back. He played quarterback in high school. Last year, he'd be in the eye. Hey, man, take the hand off and go. This is where you go. This year, there's you can tell it's not instinctual with him right now. So you hope maybe this game in another year he'll be more instinctual as a runner. I do think they should do the wild camp 5 times a game.
Why? Something worked. And like the fourth and one where they did the QB sneak with all the beef on from the defensive line coming out there, that worked. They went back to that formation, but the Cam play that resulted in a touchdown, I was like, all right.
Want to save it for the games they can win.
Yeah,
but for real, maybe they want to save it for the games they can win. Maybe he'll do it 10 times against Boston College. I don't know.
But from either the Boston College game or the Florida game, I'm being serious, and you used to joke about it, and I don't know how much of you were even joking about it during the offseason. In one of these next 2 games, he should be taking 10 to 15 snaps at quarterback, I think, Cam Akers. Like, legitimately should be. Yeah. And it'll have some like built-in throwing plays there too, not just all right, make the read, either keep it or run it. Like legitimately maybe hit Terry on a quick slant because he's going to bust it probably. He'll be able to run past people, break a tackle or two. They need these things. I mean, I don't know how much longer you want to wait, and this is the thing that it's tough, and I get it for Taggart is like he does do these new things, and then I sit here and argue like, where was this 5 weeks ago? So it's like they are trying. It's just these are the things that we assumed were going to happen maybe week 2, week 3, and I don't know why they took so long to unveil these things.
Well, they went away from it because he fumbled the play against Virginia Tech, and then they didn't do it again for 10 weeks. The Wild Camp having him at quarterback. They haven't gone back to that diamond package yet, and I know they lost LeBourne, but they haven't. That was something that was so important in their game plan that they ran it a couple times in the opener, including on a 4th and goal play from the 10, and yet just completely went away from it after it didn't work. Like just said, no, we're not doing that anymore. It's things like that make you kind of shake your head a little bit, and that why did you wait till game 10 to figure out to put your quarterback under center? Doesn't mean you're an under center team, but in short yardage, push that guy forward for a first down instead of handing it off 5 yards back in the backfield. Like if they'd have done that against NC State, who knows how that game turns out? They're probably still going to lose, but they gave them the ball at their own 32-yard line to start the second half.
Opening possession.
You have a 6'5" quarterback at that time, and you could have done that right there, pushed him forward, and kept the drive going. Now, it probably doesn't matter, but maybe it does. Just like maybe it matters if you get that Nooney touchdown overturned against Virginia Tech.
So you can bring this up on headlines later in the week. I don't want to blow our guys' cover, but in driving to South Bend from Chicago with Ira, like talking to him, Ira's big thing is he's the question that we'll never get the answer to, or the answer to the question that will. I don't know how to talk right now. The question that'll never get answered, truthfully, is what did Willie really think about this team when he inherited it, in terms of how good they really could have been? Because he mentions, I ask him, hey, he talked about the run game played a little bit better. You asked him about the run game being able to be a little bit better against Notre Dame. Why was that? And is there anything positive to build off of? And he said, yeah, we made things a little bit more simple for them. Man, at what point of this season did this team show you anything that you need to make it more complex for them? That now you're like, okay, week 11, game 10, let's simplify it for them. And then he says, I thought the first week. I thought we had everything installed, but then the injuries started happening, and we just start, things falling apart for us there. I mean, this again, it's just they had an idea of what they could run and what they were going to look like and what they were going to be. How has it absolutely struck out on all those fronts? And then now, is this them scrambling just to try to get through the season and installing a quarterback under center, making Cam finally go under Wildcat? Are these things that they want to be part of their identity, part of the footprint of the offense? Or is it just we need to find some way to manufacture yards and points, and we're just throwing stuff against the wall at this point? Nothing feels cohesive and means to an end is what it feels like right now. Like none of this, we haven't slowly seen these wrinkles. Once they put all this sort of together, and then we're going to see what the Gulf Coast offense is going to look like in perfection. It just feels like it's just so disjointed. That's the concerning part.
I agree with that. It has been disjointed, and I do think he made a pretty gross miscalculation of what this team was back in August. We all did, but we're not paid to know what our team is. He is, and he didn't. That's why the Syracuse game was the Syracuse game. I mean, he just had no idea what this team was or wasn't. And I think part of it might be, man, as much as I rip on these guys, it's still probably the most talented roster he's ever worked with. I mean, he hadn't coached a lot of Stanford Samuels in his life. Or Levante Taylors or Terry's, or Marvin Wilson's. He hasn't had that. So, Amari Gaynor.
DJ's really good. DJ Matthews he's turning,
he's a good football player, man.
Cam Akers is a really good running back. I know that a lot of people don't like talking about that right now, but he is.
I don't think he's had a team like that, a team like this where he saw so many what he thought future NFL guys. And so he must have assumed, I think he did, that okay, my scheme will work. These guys are better than anything I've ever had, so of course it'll work. And, man, it just hasn't. It just hasn't. Like, it's been a hard schedule. He doesn't play a lot of Virginia Techs at South Florida. And Virginia Tech isn't great by any means.
Not
and Pitt
at
just
all.
ran for 700 yards.
That's what gave us the anxiety was we talked about it after that game. UI and a couple other guys that on the beat after the Virginia Tech game. What hurt them, not hurt, but what was the most concerning thing was none of us felt like that Virginia Tech team that walked in here and absolutely dominated Florida State was a good football team.
No, and now look, they're not without their quarterback. They're without their quarterback now, and it can permeate an entire team, but it doesn't mean their defense has to give up a gazillion yards to Pitt, which is what they did.
Old Dominion.
They just quit. They just straight have given up. So, you still would have rather started with Samford than Virginia Tech.
Right.
But either way, it was a miscalculation. And, moving forward, I think now he obviously knows. If you want to look at this season like his 2007 Jimbo season, he's the head coach. I get it. Or the 2009 Jimbo season, which is probably more apt. Obviously, the 2009 Florida State football team wasn't good. It took a miracle Greg Reed punt return to keep up the bowl streak eligible that year. That was the year that, Florida took a knee before half up, with 40 seconds left, already up by 24-0 because they felt sorry for Florida State. So I think if you look at 2018 like his 2009, well, okay, now he's obviously, now that he's seen it up close, what this thing looks like, who shouldn't be playing at Florida State, the mindset of this team, the culture of this team, everything else. Now he knows going into the offseason what really needs to be fixed. Because he kept telling us they're good kids. They're great kids. I don't know what everybody's talking about.
Not turds.
Man, okay. Do you still believe that, Willie? I know you say you love this team. That doesn't mean they're not trying. But some of these guys I don't care what he says. They're comfortable with losing. It's okay with them. And they're used to it. What is that, 12 losses now in 2 years? 12 losses in 2 years. Who would have thought that this was ever coming back to Florida State? Who would ever thought 06-07 was coming back to Florida State? This might be worse because of those 12 losses, at least 5 of them are absolute blowouts where you didn't have a chance. So you got to get some of this out of your program. You got to change it. He knows now what needs to be changed. Whether it's through recruiting or this or that or whatever. I mean, he gets paid a lot of money to figure it out, so figure it out. Nobody feels sorry for the guy. This is what he came in for. But I think he was under the same impression that we were, like I talked about yesterday, that like this team was really close to winning 9 or 10 games. Maybe if they had DeAndre, they'd win 9 or 10 games in 17. Yeah. Well, again, they were also really, really close to being 2-8. So that's more of the team he took over. He took over a team that was lucky to get to a bowl last year. They had to reschedule Louisiana Monroe.
I feel they were more of an unlucky team to end up 7-6 last year than a team that was fortunate to make it to 7-6.
They were what they were. Like it wasn't like you looked at that team and thought it was a 10-win team. I mean, you could say they were unlucky.
Preseason ranked number 3.
I mean, that seemed maybe not accurate looking back at that team. I mean, they get one quarterback goes down and then they're done. Georgia's quarterback went down the first quarter of their first game. They seemed to rally up last year. I mean, with a true freshman, was he just better coached? Kirby a better coach than Jimbo? What's the difference? They had a tougher record or schedule last year than Jimbo. So again, you're taking a team that was, in my opinion, maybe not lucky. They were what they were. They lost some close games. They won some close games. They weren't dominant in any of them. So you take it, and they had
that's Louisiana Monroe about domination feels like,
and they had an easy schedule. So you take that team that was lucky to sneak into the Independence Bowl.
The Walk-Ons Independence Bowl.
The Walk-Ons Independence
Bistro.
Bowl. Yeah, sorry. What is that? Boudreaux? What'd you say it was?
Walk-Ons.
The Bistro?
Walk-Ons
Bistro.
Is a bistro. Okay. Bistro and bar.
By the way, they served us food in the press box at that game. Like they would come around to you and give you a little cup of jambalaya or a cup of etouffee. I like Cajun food, man. I don't eat enough Cajun food. Some spots in here, some spots in Tallahassee that you can go. Popeyes, of course. And anyway, but so you take that team last year.
Popeyes actually fries turkeys for Thanksgiving? I think me and the girlfriend are going to maybe
Y'all gonna do a Popeyes
Thanksgiving? I think so. She's
Are they open on Thanksgiving?
I don't know, but I think maybe the day before.
Day before?
You order it or what?
I don't mind fried turkey now.
I've never had fried turkey.
Oh, that's good, man.
I've heard really good things about it.
Daddy likes a little fried turkey. Don't kid yourself. So you take a bad team from last year and give it a harder schedule with a new offense and a new defense.
But with more belief, with more cohesion, with a coach that's dialed in, engaged.
Yeah,
that
next year save the money. Just don't go to IMG. That was well, what did that do for you, Willie? What did that do for you, Willie?
Wait till all the recruits start coming. All the recruits start coming pouring in from Miami.
Well, hey
Academy.
man, that can. Well, that's true. If they got one player out of there that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise, then it's probably worth it. Especially if it's an O lineman.
How much do they spend on the trip? Like 100-something thousand?
Yeah.
For one offensive, I'll take it.
Dude, they should be.
Look at what's going on. How much was Creighton going to pay for a basketball player?
No, I'm telling you, man. If you could
bargain.
You know, again, I've joked. It's not even a joke. Al Dunlap, if he wants to make a difference, man, just start. They're a great offensive
Get out of the
lineman.
capital investment game. Get out of the structure building game, Al Dunlap. Get
in the duffel bag game.
Yes.
On front doors. Duffel bags on front doors, man.
Yep.
Have a big old nice shiny pickup truck in front of some corn-fed offensive lineman that's one of the best in the country. Give him a shiny pickup truck, or give his dad a tractor, or whatever he needs to get him to Florida State.
Get into the espionage game. Find out who Wisconsin's recruiting on the offensive line and just go
where
steal
they get
those
these
kids.
Guys? By the way, they've been a disappointment. They always are. But, yeah, exactly. Why does Wisconsin always have – or Notre Dame? Why do they always have these guys? And Florida State gets guys that apparently couldn't start at Buffalo. Not the Bills, guys.
Not the Bills.
The college Buffalo.
I want to pull up two things and we'll wrap up here. Let me see if I can pull this thing up in quick enough time here. I saw this on the TV monitor in my hotel room. It was pitting FSU's offense against Notre Dame's defense. You talked about Buffalo, and we've mentioned this. Can they be the worst offensive line in the country? In terms of Power 5 conference ranking, there's 65 Power 5 teams.
Okay.
Florida State's yards per play going into that Notre Dame game, they were 59th.
Okay, all right, not terrible, guys.
57th in points per game.
They got great.
They were 65th in yards per rush. So they were.
Yeah, San Jose State was the only one that's worse than them in the entire country.
Yeah, so they got that stuff. But so I guess maybe Buffalo.
So again, when you look at it through that lens, if you can't run at all, isn't it hard to gauge anything? Of course the offense looks disjointed.
How can you not? Everyone that's what kids learn to do the first thing when they play football. Pee wee, they're not going 4 wide, running 4 verticals.
Yeah, they are these days. They are.
They do the 7-on-7, and there's a certain element that offensive linemen are more apt now coming out of high school to be pass protectors than they are road graders and run blockers. But
what did you think?
They can't even remotely run the ball though, Corey. We're not talking.
No, I'm telling you, they're 128th in the country out of 129. So going into this season, what would you have thought the floor was for how bad their rushing attack would be? Because it wasn't good last year, and their offense wasn't good last year. But we all thought it'd be better. Cam Akers was talking about running for 2,000 yards.
I think Cam, I would have put his floor at probably 1,100 yards running.
And Patrick another 500 or 600.
Yeah.
So you're thinking the floor, I would have thought would have been mid-50s.
Yeah,
rushing
probably.
attack.
Yeah, 60 somewhere in there. Yeah.
So if they were 54th in the country in rushing, not Power 5, but overall, so 28th Power 5, running for 171 yards per game. What do you think their record would be?
Oh, geez.
6-4?
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? I think at the end of the day, we strip it all away. He has not done a good job at all. Nobody can argue that he has. The program has not turned around. They keep getting blown out. The defense is a sieve. They just give up huge play after huge play after huge play. But if they had a running attack at all that was commensurate with their talent in the backfield, I think you're looking at 6-4, and you might have you might finish with 7 wins again.
Would it be commensurate?
Commiserate, right?
Commiserate sounds like you're commiserating, like you're lousy. I think there's a U in there. Commiserate.
I mean, who knows?
Sorry, putting this thing down the tube. Sorry about that, ladies and
gentlemen.
So
anyway, I think that's when you strip it all away, that's the number one thing that has to get fixed somehow. And again, you could have Cam at quarterback. You'd run more.
You have to.
It wasn't like he read that play perfectly, because there was a free defensive end or the linebacker came right up on him, right there. He just shook him and he went by and he scored a touchdown because he can run.
Yes.
He has moves. Yes. He's a running back. He can move.
And again, the fact that he played high school quarterback, and it's because that's what he did. I mean, the ball was in his hands. I think it's a much more different aspect of running the ball at shotgun when the ball is going directly into your hands, as opposed to you sitting there reading things, having to take the right first step, and then there's so much involved in the rhythm of running from shotgun when you're used to being in the I formation. Not that he was used to the I formation, but that's what he was so successful in last year. It's bizarre. That's the one thing that needs to for sure change. 2 things, again, I just want to talk about. I got something that my buddy texted me. I think that's a really good thing that we'll go out on. But in terms of this offense, I mean, is at least the perimeter passing game dead with Walt now calling the plays?
They don't do that a lot, do they?
I feel good about that at least.
They Did on like a 3rd and 1. Remember Nooney caught a ball, and that was crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, he got there, but it wasn't blocked up well.
Yeah.
It wasn't designed well, but he did get the first down on 3rd and 1. But, yeah, they're not doing a lot of that. The other teams do it and seem to get 7 or 8 yards a good bit. Florida State, just because they can't block it up or he doesn't get it out to the kid quick enough, whatever the case may be, it never busts for a gain at all. Yeah. But I think if Corey Clark was the OC, I'd do it at least once or twice a game, put 3 guys over there, throw it to him, whoever it is, Nooney or DJ, hopefully gets 4 or 5 yards. Terry's on the other side, always. Even though he's your best blocker, he needs to be on the other side. You need to show them that you'll actually throw it over there just to free it up on the other side with Terry. So I think you got to set it up by throwing the perimeter game. But, yeah, remember they were doing the Virginia Tech game, they must have thrown 8 or 10 screens. Did nothing.
Yeah.
And then after that, now they don't. So, so he let Walt, if you're looking for positives, and there aren't a lot this season, in the middle of the season, he changed it up, let Walt Bell call plays, which, again, this coaching staff can't be the same going into next year. And I think Willie, I don't know why, I just got a vibe from him today in the press conference that he's more pissed off than anyone. And I do think he is competitive enough that, sorry, man, you're gone. I got to let you go. I got to do better. We got to do better. Because he was talking about Harlan Barnett. He was talking about we got to line him up. He knows it would help.
We got to call in quicker.
Yeah, we got to get our calls in quicker. It helps. It helps if we get them lined up. And he was perturbed by it.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know Harlan Barnett anything. If he looks at it this season, at the end of this season, and say they give up another 35 the next 2 weeks, and he takes a step back, he doesn't have any relationship with Harlan Barnett. And I don't think Willie Taggart would have qualms at all. I'm not saying it's fair, and I'm not saying I expect him to do it.
No, but I think the salary probably keeps him here.
And maybe I don't know what his buyout is.
$900,000.
Well, I know, but I don't know what his contract was.
I think it was a 3-year deal. I can look that up.
So, but anyway, so my point would be I don't think Willie Taggart would have any, even if it's the defensive coordinator or Walt Bell, of firing him if he thinks he's not doing a good job. I think he's willing to admit he made mistakes, and he'll try to correct it, even if it's just out of self-preservation. But again, I'm not suggesting that
$980, 3 years, so they'd have 2 years left at $980.
Well, yeah, 1.9. So I'm saying I don't know if they would say you can't do that or not. I mean, it's at some point it becomes
you have to have somebody huge though that you're going to bring in if you're going to be able to get that done. You have to be like, well, we get rid of him and I'm going to bring in.
And again, I'm not saying that I think Harlan Barnett should be fired. I think just judging from
nobody's job is safe right now.
Of course, and it shouldn't.
Nobody's job should be safe.
So when you look at it though, I truly believe that Willie would look at that and go, okay, there's this other whoever maybe has somebody else that he really wants, and the guy's like, man, I'll come, I'll do it.
And Jim Leavitt's ready to get the hell out of Eugene.
I think in a heartbeat, he would be willing to do that, because again, he doesn't hide the fact when he's upset with an assistant coach, and again, he brought it up. He's like, we got to tackle better. Well, number one, you never practice tackling, so I don't know how you're going to get better at that.
Full pads.
And that's not Harlan Barnett's fault.
He can thud still, but
also, he said the first thing we got to do is line up quicker, get them lined up better, and that's on us as coaches. He must have said that 5 times in his Monday press conference, that it's on us as coaches. So again, I'm not saying Harlan Barnett should be fired or that Willie is even thinking about it. But I do have confidence that if he thought Harlan Barnett wasn't the right person for this job after a year, he would do something about it.
Hashtag do something.
Hashtag do something, Willie. You've done a whole lot of jack squat in 2018, but it's time to do something.
I have a really good question from my buddy, but I don't want to
Come on, let's go real quick.
No, because it's a question that I think will evolve into a 10-15 minute discussion. And we've done good enough.
Well, we can tease it then.
Yeah. Basically, just again, I think my friend basically I won't ask this question, but he said, "Here's a thought for you." While I was listening to your show on Monday morning, what is most alarming is
by the way, that's kind of cool that your friends listen to this show.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to put a number on friends. I would say I have 8 or 10 really, really good friends.
I got probably about 10 or 12
back home in Atlanta.
But I'll probably have less by the time I'm your age. I'll piss them off.
Well, that's true. None of them. I don't even think they know I do shows.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not Florida State fans.
That's the thing I was going to ask you. How many of your friends outside of Tim, Ira,
yeah, I guess
Florida State fans?
No, a couple are kind of fringe fans, but not enough to listen to a daily podcast. But I don't think they know. They don't know who I work for, and they don't know. They don't know that I'm on the radio or on podcasts. Yeah. No idea.
But basically, his whole thing was, I thought while I was listening to your show this morning, and you meant on Monday, what is most alarming is that they just don't seem to be improving at all. And then he offered a theory. We can talk about that another time. But that's what we started the show off with. I didn't want to go back to it. But that's the concern part. It doesn't seem like they're improving. At certain points, you've got 2 weeks.
And maybe just show us this week. You lost 35-3 to this team last year.
Yeah.
Hang with them. I know it's crazy as a Florida State fan to hear somebody talking about just trying to hang with
at home
effing Boston College at home. I get it, especially their quarterback might not even play, and it won't matter. But just hang with them. Show some fight, man. Look, get them on their heels. Get a defense on its heels.
Start fast, like you said you wanted to.
Anything instead of being down 14 or 17-0 like you always are. Just play better. Win against Florida. Find a way. There's been nothing at all that they're even bad teams sometimes have that one game where even if they lose, they put it all together and almost pull off the upset.
Right.
Nothing. The closest they came to almost pulling off an upset was a Miami team that might not make a bowl. So I get it, folks. I get that you're worried. I get it. Because last year, I know they were lucky to be in the game. That some things went haywire, but, they were down by 3 to Clemson in the fourth quarter.
With the ball in their hand.
With the ball in their hands. Now they were down 17-0 at half, and some good things happened and some fortunate things, but they did. And they had a chance to win that game. And nothing like that has even come close to happening this year. So you got 2 games left. Show some improvement. And I will say this real quick, and we'll go. I did think they were making strides with the Louisville, Wake, Miami stretch, Northern Illinois.
I'll say Miami, I think. I thought Miami looked at – but Wake Forest was whatever. Louisville was horrible.
We got to quit. But they were down –
I don't care.
They were down 21-7.
Sorry. We tried. We tried to will Cam Akers turn the corner after Wake Forest.
Florida State's in the spot where now you don't even care about wins anymore.
No.
They were down 21-7.
They had no business winning that game. Why did they throw the ball on third down? You idiot. That's why you're fired, you moron.
But anyway, so you had the Northern Illinois bowl team, by the way, comfortable win. Louisville come from behind. Miami disaster in the 5-minute stretch in the second half. Then a comfortable win over Wake. And again, Florida State is in no position to dismiss wins at all, especially comfortable wins where you get to play a backup quarterback because you actually have a big lead. So you had that stretch there, and you're thinking, oh, right, okay, man, I'm starting to see the corner. The next 3 weeks are
the toughest part.
Second best team in the nation.
Yeah.
Tough place to play on the road with a really good quarterback. Third best team in the nation. So now we're back. We can reset a little bit. Boston College is number 22 in the country, but they ain't great.
They scored on a punt return. They lost 27-7. Their only touchdown was special
I didn't
teams.
realize that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Florida's whatever.
And they were without their quarterback. Hopefully they will also. Yeah. I mean, not for his health, but for Florida State's sake.
So and then Florida ain't great. I've watched them. They won, but they're 13th, 14th in the country. But either way,
Dan Mullen's going to pull all sorts of.
This isn't Clemson,
right?
With Trevor Lawrence, and it's not at Notre Dame.
Right.
These are much more. They should be much more competitive games. So this will maybe be a better gauge of what he's done than judging him against the number 2 and number 3 teams in the country, sandwiched by a
number 3 team that barely beat Ball State.
Man, they're undefeated.
Pitt, and they had their backup quarterback.
You saw that team. That's a good team. That's a playoff team. They're going to be in the playoff.
That's a sad indictment on the state of college 100%, football. 100%.
But you just played 2 playoff teams. Now you got destroyed by both of them. Yeah. And then in the middle, you played a team that isn't very good. It's okay. And you got kind of embarrassed there, too. But, again, don't you think home at Boston College, home at Florida, see what they look like in more winnable atmosphere, more winnable competition.
Just if they can beat Boston College, that Florida week will be fun. It'll be maybe fun's not that. It'll be somewhat intriguing, at least going to the Florida.
I thought you were the opinion you'd rather them lose to Boston College, so then Florida can't end the bowl streak. That the bowl streak would already be over.
Gosh,
and then you play Florida with nothing to lose and maybe actually rise up and do some things.
Yeah. I think No, if they lose to Boston College, they're going to finish 4-8 if they lose to Boston College. I don't think they lose to Boston College and then come out swinging.
No, of
Florida.
course, but the odds are they're not going to win both games either way. So wouldn't you rather them lose the Boston College game and get it out of the way?
So Florida doesn't have that.
So Florida doesn't have the we kept your bowl streak, we ended your bowl streak.
Yeah. But I mean, to your point, I think if they can figure out if Boston College's quarterback is not playing, they're back at home. If they can just sneak something by, Francois maybe figures out, maybe he's learned that he can't just sit in the pocket anymore and feels a little bit better about himself. They beat Boston College. That Florida game just feels so much, there's not going to be juice to it, but it'll be so much more intriguing. And then I think at that point, that Florida game, if you're Willie, like you literally do your pregame speech on your knees and you just, guys, I just need everybody here just to play your best game. Not the best game of your life, but just the best game this season. Everybody, please do that for me.
Felipe Franks is their quarterback, guys.
Implore these guys. I think that's the game that you would hope they can maybe all put it together.
Yeah.
And not in terms of playing what this offense is going to be at its peak, but just defensive line, play your best game of this year. Like, just don't play as bad as you've been playing the last few weeks. Receivers, learn how to just line up just for this one game.
Just for this one game, guys. Yeah. Line up correctly. Yeah. I'm not asking a lot. Hey,
because as crazy as miserable as this feels right now, if they somehow do win the next 2 games, what great elation it will be.
Yeah.
I mean, sincerely,
it'll somehow
be great.
It's not completely out of the realm. Neither one of these teams are great. They're just not. I know they're ranked, but everybody's ranked this year except Florida State. Well, they were ranked to begin the season. I wonder how many teams have been ranked this year. 50? Anyway, so they're not great teams. They're winnable games. Clemson was not winnable.
Right.
At Notre Dame was not winnable. Just was not. Probably wasn't even before the season started, but we knew going in when you can't run the ball, those 2 teams you are not going to beat. So these 2 games are winnable. They're not, they're not certainties by any stretch. Yeah. You probably will lose at least one of them, maybe both, but you can't win them both. Yeah. So go out there and play with some fire, some heart, some determination, and some hunger.
There we go.
And get out there. It's because it's not their time. It's our time,
it's
guys.
Our time, man.
It's our time, right? It's our time. What time is it? It's our time. It's our time, guys. So get out there, play with heart and hunger, and go, you know what? Don't just play for yourself. Play for the 1983 Seminoles.
Right.
The 1982 Seminoles who started the streak in the Gator Bowl. And the 2009 Greg Reed Seminoles.
Because listen, it's all about memories. You guys are going to talk about the wins and the losses, but when you guys come back in 15, 20 years and you're hanging out in Tallahassee, you're going to talk about the memories. You're going to talk about the bowl game.
Yeah. You're going to talk about – man,
Birmingham,
can you believe AJ
the BBVA Compass Bowl in Birmingham.
Can you believe AJ didn't turn around at all on that pass? And the kid got his foot in by a blade of grass? Holy moly. Wasn't 2018 something?
All right. We'll try to do better tomorrow.
Love you guys.
Thanks for listening.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.